have anyone watching? Oh, hi, whoever is watching. So, as you know, I used to stream somewhat more regularly on Fridays. I've never been particularly great at starting on time at anything, especially streams. But a few weeks ago, I got a puppy. 5 weeks ago now. And I've been trying to line up my streams, like line up her naps with my streams. But I think she's on to me. Because usually I just put her down to a nap. Hi, Gobbler, how are you? Usually I just put her down to nap, but on Fridays I've been trying to get her to sleep before I wander out, because I'm not sure if you can hear that, but she whines when she hears me doing something interesting in the other room. So we're gonna have a dog soundtrack. I should have just done this at 3, but I was trying to avoid the crying dog soundtrack. Oh no, more books for me to buy. Sorry. I don't know if Joy will come in later today. I know that she's not feeling too well, but I was talking to Joy about comparison books, as we're talking about assembling some of my material into a book. Hi, Paolo, how are you? Welcome, everyone. Again, sorry this is so late. We are trying to move this back to 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. I was trying to negotiate with my dog about her nap time, but I think she can tell that I was trying to get her to nap and that I would be doing something else. Something about me fussing or whatever. So she wasn't napping, and I took her out for 2 Ps, and now you can hear her going at her chew toy. There's a little squeaker in it, and then she's whining at the door. Yeah, so nature journaling books, there's very few out in the world. Like there's the John Muir Laws books, and then there's a few for kids, but there's very few that seem like they're geared at like a wider audience, and adults at various levels of drawing abilities. So I'm really interested in this one. And then Isaac Gunnar is a botanical artist whose work I really enjoy. And I particularly like that this is focused on painting from life. Oh, do you have this book, Paolo? I really like the artist. The nature journal. Oi! No, it was like 25 Canadian for me. I would not have bought it if it was that expensive. Yeah, I can show you the link on Amazon Canada where I got it, or figure out how much I paid. But it wasn't that much for sure. Hi, Stephen. That's a miss for this time. Yeah, no, for sure. I would not buy any book for that. Well, I think maybe the new Silva I paid about that much, and my crappity. Words are failing me. My Lichen reference book. Anyway, yeah, no. I paid like maybe a fifth that at most. I did not pay that much for this book. It was not an expensive book at all. 14, 15 euros, that is precious. Obviously buying it as we speak. I thought you said you weren't buying any new books, Paolo. Yeah. No, I did pay about that much for the Lichen book, I think, but and the new Silva but again, that's like a giant book. Hi, Mikey. Well, I'm glad that I did get some people to join for this late stream. And I'm very sorry for the screaming dog soundtrack. That is why I tried to delay. It's because I know that when I shut her in a bedroom and I go into another room to do something, that she gets really, really loud. Because she knows that something's up and she wants to be part of the action. Book is it? Sorry. Okay, so I have 2 books that I've paid about, like the equivalent of £100 for. So the first one was the new Silva, which is like, it's a big reference book. It's all about trees, and they're particularly focused on like forest and orchard trees, but in the UK, so it's going to be a little bit different from the selection that you get here, but still very related. And it's a reference book, but it's also just got some really, really gorgeous illustrations. But this is more of a coffee table book, and it's huge. Like, it's a giant hardcover book. And then the other one is Lichens of North America, which I don't have up here. It's down my library cabinet downstairs. But it is a photo reference book for lichen identification. It's got all of the species of lichen present in Eastern North America. Or possibly it might just be North American general. Anyway, it might just be Eastern. Whatever. It's a huge, like, it's 300 pages and it's got full color photos. I thought I saw something recently on American fruits and nuts. American fruits and nuts. Well, there was. So the U.S. Department of Agriculture back in like the turn of the last century commissioned a whole, it's called the pomological study, a whole slew of illustrations of fruits and nuts. It started out with apples, and so with every species of apples, but also, or every variety of apples, every cultivar, but then they also did a whole bunch of other fruits and vegetables. And that just fell into the public domain recently, and so all of those photos are available, and I think they have been compiled into books. But you can also just find them if you look up U.S. pomological study. They are widely available and beautiful. I don't think the book is available in Europe. Which book? What book are we talking about? I bought the last copy of this one? Okay, well, let's take a look at what you just bought. How's that? So this was very interesting to me because nature journaling is a practice that I'm trying to stay in, get more into. I think it's really, really worthwhile to keep a habit of always looking at the world around you and observing. I think you learn a lot about the natural world, and cultivating that curiosity and that interest is good for your health. It's good for your general understanding, for treading lightly on the earth and being a good steward to the land. but it's also sort of, I guess it's a sort of niche field where it's in between general sketching or plein air or urban sketching, which are more common fields, versus like botanical illustration, which is very technical, very detailed, very polished, and this is something in between that anyone can do. But there's very little published about it. So talking to Joy about, you know, working on my own content and potentially publishing in the future, she was talking about looking at, you know, not just examples like John Muir Laws, which are like the, you know, the person in a field, and actually looking at somewhat less known examples. And so I found this book, and again, it wasn't expensive when I got it. And just to see some different examples of what nature journaling books might look like. It's also really cool for when I'm teaching nature journaling to have a bunch of different examples, not just my own, but also to show what other artists' nature journals might look like. So for example, here we have somebody who's sketching in an urban setting, and they are doing different little examples, different media, different approaches. So this initial portion is very text-based. It looks like these are some mostly ink sketches with maybe a bit of colored pencil. Yeah, again, so this is going to be an ink sketch. Quite a bit of text. Seems sort of poetic in its approach. And then discussing who can benefit from nature journaling. Again, lots of examples in the margins, but it's very text-based in terms of descriptive, and this is not a step-by-step guide so far, at least. I really like these colors, and again, this is in colored pencils. So for those of you who follow me because you are interested in botanical art or you know, realism, nature journaling, this sort of thing, but you're not a watercolor artist, this is a very different approach, and it's really nice. Again, this is a description of a bunch of available, like what you can use in your kit. So she's working, this Claire Walker Leslie works, it seems, primarily in ink and colored pencil. Here's some examples in different media. So this is ballpoint pen, technical pen, violet fine liner with water wash. So like you can add some, and then here it is in pencil. And then I guess this is watercolor, but it's a very different approach. Yeah, so the issue with my puppy is often if I'm in my studio, I do let her in here, but she tears around and I have to keep a really close eye on her. When I am not able to keep a close eye on her, she naps in the bedroom, and it's well past her nap time. She's just being a little drama queen. If she's still awake in a little while, I will go fetch her, but it's also important for her to get used to. Sometimes I can't be there every moment of every day, but she's a little drama queen. I can guarantee you that this animal gets enough food. She gets tons of love. She's with me, you know, at the majority of every day. She doesn't sleep in the bed, but she sleeps right beside it. She's a baby. Yeah, okay, fine. I do need to sweep up in here from the last mess she made, but then I can let her in. I'll let her in. Just give me a moment. Here, I'll give you an interesting page to look at while I do that. Yeah, exactly. She's just playing me there. Exactly. So this is it. So you have to understand that usually she would have been in bed, like she would have been napping an hour and a half ago. And instead, I shared a picture on Discord. If anyone can throw in a Discord link, I didn't get time to put a description on this video. But I threw an image of her on Discord. She was snoozing, but then every time I stepped out of the room, she knew that I was going to do something without her. So even though this is completely her normal routine, she would then wake up and go to the door. She is gorgeous. She is a very pretty little dog, and she is very loving and very sweet. And this will, I assume, be probably the last week where we're having this particular issue, because next week I will be streaming from my parents' house. And then, so I'll have other people and another dog there who can watch her. My husband can't, he's got his own thing right now. And then 2 weeks from now, we are working on having her settle nicely in the studio, which is what she often does through the middle of the day. It's just not reliable enough for me to trust that she'll do it while I'm talking. Missed a very warm puppy. Oh, she's, yeah, she hasn't been on the stream yet. I might go fetch her. She's supposed to be napping, but of course she knows that I'm doing something without her, and she's resource guarding. So part of it is I do want to make it clear to her that sometimes she needs to nap, even if I'm doing something else. But if she quiets down for a little while, I will go fetch her. And move her in here so that we can at least enjoy some pretty doggo. Anyway, sampling of journaling style. So there's some like really interesting stuff here. I will leave you on this beautiful page here as I go. Yeah, exactly. So I'm just, I realized a little while ago that I was enabling her, because usually she would be asleep. Like she was due for a nap at about 3, and I brought her into the bedroom, and she immediately sort of settled in and started dozing. But then every time I would get up to leave, she'd follow me to the end of her tether. And so I took her out, and I took her out again. She's way past due for a nap, but she just wants to be part of the action, whatever the action is. So, whatever. I will probably let her join at some point, but if she doesn't fall asleep, but I need her to be quiet first. And unfortunately, that does mean that I am streaming with a screaming dog. Sorry. It's heartbreaking to me too. Never be quiet, buddy. Everybody loves you. It's hard for talkie dogs to learn to be quiet. I sympathize with Ember and with you having to endure her cries. Yeah, so she's definitely a very vocal dog. So she howls and she whines, and even when she's happy, she'll howl and whine and bark. Somehow even her yawns are loud. Like, she's not a quiet dog. She's actually pretty good in some sense because she settles, which is something that we were worried about. Sorry, I'm just sweeping up. The last time that Ember was in the studio, she knocked over some of my dried flowers that I had for reference, and I swept them into a corner, but there was still a pile. So I'm just sweeping that up before I let the dog back into the studio. But I will let her in here and let her maybe nap in here, potentially. This isn't going to be a very long stream anyway, so if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Part of the issue is that when she's awake and she's hyped, she needs washrooms all the time, right? So when she's asleep, like I took her out in the past hour and a half, when she would have been asleep, I took her out and she had to pee twice. But she's a good girl. She's learning and she does settle. Our boy was allowed when we would leave the house. So the interesting thing is she's got a good off switch. I mean, she's a puppy. No puppy has a great off switch, but it's clear that she does settle, which is something that we were very worried about with getting such an active dog. It's like, is she ever going to be able to settle inside the house? And she definitely does. She needs a couple hours of exercise, of like really good exercise every day, plus some mental stimulation. And that'll be a constant, and we'll just have to keep on upping, you know, more training for the mental stimulation, more, like right now, a walk in the morning with a little bit of training along the way is most of her exercise, but as she gets bigger, she'll need to run more. Is this the second edition? Yes, this is the second edition. Oh my goodness. Ooh, she's not usually this loud. This is new. She's just desperate. So this is the sort of noise. She's in the bedroom. Usually she settles in pretty well there. Because that's her spot. But this is the sort of noise that we would get from the start, or even worse than this, if we ever shut her in a crate. She's turned it up a notch. Yes, I know. If quiet terrorism doesn't work, then what about loud terrorism? I like the dirt under your nails giving you gardening cred. Oh, I know that it bothers some people on videos. I haven't heard too many complaints about mine specifically, but I know that that's a thing that some people get really bothered by. But yes, my nails are absolutely full of dirt all the time from gardening. Mostly. Anyway, so a lot of this is, there's some more examples working from indoors. So like even if it's really nasty outside, you can paint from a window. You can paint some examples you bring in, connecting with nature. So there's tracings, like measurements, little commentary like red sap glistening, smells spicy and sweet, using a series of field journals. So I know a few people who do this. They get field journals and then they organize them and have like so they can look up specific subjects. I am far too disorganized for this kind of systematic record keeping, but I think it's really interesting. I really like all of these different comments that are happening here. Biology research project, there's people talking about weather conditions. That's pretty neat. Fragility of the environment. Changes in a place over time. Talking about group journaling. So this is interesting. If a whole bunch of people travel together, you can do wouldn't it be a pain to clean under your nails, especially when you garden so often? Yeah, I mean, it's just a fact of life for me. If it's not gardening, then I also do, like, I'm also a big cyclist. I've done some bike maintenance. So there was, you know, if it's not gardening, then it's bike grease or something else. My nails are always a disaster. And I have a really short nail bed because I used to chew my nails as a little kid. And I chewed them back. So like instead of the quick being up here, it's all the way back here, the edge of that pink area, which makes it just a little bit even harder to get it nice and clean. Not very good at botanicals, but having a go at creating a catalog for my succulents and making a little care guide. That is kind of silly, but I always struggled on how to design a sketchbook spread. I don't think that's silly at all. I think that that's very real. And some of it is just allowing yourself to experiment and, you know, happy little accidents. And some of it is stuff that you'll discover what works for you over time. I know that that's something that I sometimes look at other people's sketchbooks and I think these are really, really nice spreads and that I don't do that as much, but then sometimes I chance on a spread that looks really nice in my sketchbook. Oh my goodness, she's so loud. Ah. Okay, I'm gonna go fetch the dog. One moment. Hello, buddy. I know. Yeah, you're gonna come with me. You're gonna come with me. Oh, and it's all okay. All right. Well, so we've discovered some of the issue. She knocked over a coffee from my bedside table that had been sitting there. That shouldn't have been sitting there. Hey, Amber. Hey, little one. Yeah, you're going to be a little problem here now, aren't you? Aren't you? Hey. No, 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 no. This is not for you. Absolutely not. Do not touch that. Okay, you can sit here and not chew the cords. That's the other thing, is there's, I should just fix it, but my studio lighting when I'm filming. Here, let me just swing this around and around, and down. And no, not a self-serve dog buffet. Hello, buddy. Hello. Yeah. Yeah, hello. You did it. Terrorism for the win. Hi, bud. Hey, bud. Okay, so you're up, so we might as well do some training. She's so cute. Yeah, you're so cute. You're just so cute. You're just so cute. Let me just break up these treats for you. And then where did I put? I came in and I brought in your bag here that has your little clicker on it. Didn't I? Where's the clicker? Where's the clicker? Clicker? Where did I put the clicker? Aha! Here we go. Ember! Yes! Good girl! Good girl! Yes! Down! Good girl! Yes! Good girl! Belly? Belly? Good girl! Good belly! Good belly! Good belly! Yes, this is a good belly. Good belly! Sit! Good girl! Good girl! Yes! Oh, back down. Sit! Good girl! Yes! Paw? Up, up. Paw? Yes, good paw. Good paw. Other paw. Other paw. Sit. Now you want to lie down all the time. Sit. Ember. Sit. What are you doing? What are we doing? Sit. Good girl. But you're off camera. Come. Stand. 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 Okay, good stand. Good girl. Yes. Sit. Good girl. Paw. Good girl. Other paw. Yes, that's a good girl. That's a good girl. High five. High five. That's a good girl. Good high five. Yes, good high five. You're a good girl. You're a good girl. You're a good girl. Yes, you're a good girl. Mm-hmm. She's being so good. She is so good. She's a good girl. You're a good girl, aren't you? Okay. Stand. Yes, good stand. That's a good girl. That's a good girl. Touch. Good girl. Yes, good touch. That's a good touch. 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 Why, Mama? Good girl. Less teeth would be ideal. Sit. Good girl. Good girl. Yes. Good girl. Down. Good girl. Yes. You're so good. You're so good. You're so good. Yes. Good girl. Yes. Ember. Ember. Hi. Yes. Good kidney. Yes. Ember. Yes. Good girl. Touch. Good girl. Belly? Yeah, I know. This one's a little tricky getting your form right on it without getting myself bitten. Belly. Good girl. Good belly. Yes, good girl. Good girl. Good girl. points. Good girl. Good girl. Yes. Okay, Amber, settle. Settle. Good girl. Good settle. Good girl. That's a good settle. Good girl. Yes, good settle. Do you have your toys here? What do you have in the way of toys in this room? You have this chew here, and you have this other chew here. And yes, good settle. Good girl. Good girl. Yeah, who's my good girl? We're going to move this crate here just a little to protect my wires for the time being. So she doesn't use her crates, really. But we own crates because we had a notion that we were going to crate train her. Okay, I'm going to swoop my camera over to here, to where I was showing this. And Ember's just going to sit here sort of under my desk, in front of my desk, and work on her chews and get congratulated every so often when she's settling nicely until she falls asleep. So that was that. What happened here? Sorry. Yeah, so that's a cute little dog. What are you doing? Are you being a problem again? You're being a problem again. Ember. Ember. Ember, what are you doing? Hey. Go to your spot. Go to your spot. Yes, good girl. Good girl. Settle. So this is some examples of sketches that can be really doodly, but things don't have to be super finished. Little detail sketches. I really like this, where she saw some really cool things but didn't really draw them very carefully, just said jeweled raindrops hanging upside down on them. Just raindrops on a pine beside the Ford store. So just like cool things that she saw, but each of these little sketches is really tiny. So it's just like almost like a gratitude sort of thing. I also really like this daily lily image that's done quite loosely. Journaling through the seasons. Ember. Ember. Go to your spot. Go to your spot. No, that's not your spot at all. No, that's my mistake. Okay, here. How about we put your spot somewhere a little bit more convenient? Under the desk, huh? No, we're gonna have to wash this too because there's spilled coffee on it. Anyway, so yeah, so lots of like examples of subjects. So then there's season by season. I really like this rough drawing with colored pencil. So I don't really use colored pencil, but I think that this is a great example of where you can, like how you can use it on the go. Here's a nice little montage with a bunch of different leaves. Here's a different approach to to drawing rather. Drawing trees, different shapes, and just like different leaf masses and how you can work that in colored pencil, which is a little different than how I work it in. What do you have? Oh, what are you showing on? you chewing on? Ember? What are you chewing on? Yeah, I think that this is a great example of how colored pencil can be used in a looser way. If you don't want to be carrying around wet media, just having a few colored pencils and using them in this way seems really cool, something that I might want to try at some point. Ember, go to your spot. Good girl, settle. Good girl. So then this is winter. Evergreen. So again, this is another example of how to draw trees. This is an ink. So this is pretty similar to stuff I've done. Deciduous trees in winter. That's a really fascinating thing, and trying to get the shapes right, so that you don't end up with just like little sticks. Little winter buds drawn to size. Oh, look at these little track marks by different animals. Hi, hello. You're a little animal. Are you wild? Are you wild and crazy? Is this a wolf I accidentally brought home? Hi. Hello. Hello. Yes? Are you helping? Come. Yeah? Okay. So helpful. So helpful. I'm joking. You're not helpful. You're a dog. Come here. This way. Go to your spot. Go to your spot. Yes, good girl. Good girl. Good settle. Good girl. Do you want this? Do you want this? You want this? Yeah, you want to give me kisses, but no. You have this. You have this? Is this for you? I know. Your dog bed smells like coffee, and we're gonna have to wash it because that's not good for dogs. You knocked over my coffee. I know. Call it a day. See you next week. Have a great weekend. You too. Anyway, so yeah, so bird drawing exercises, all sorts of different exercises, but it's very, very example based, and not like step by step. So even these exercises, they show some shapes, they show some basic structure, but it's not going to be like, this is how you draw this thing. Household pets. So if I wanted to draw Neuron or this little creature, who's now yelling at me, yeah, you want water, don't you? You always want water. Okay, I'll get you water. Here, you can have water. Good girl. Oh my goodness. You make such a mess. How do you make such a mess, little one? Spot. Yeah. Oh, here, I'll take a look in here. Spot. Down. Spot. Good girl. Yes. Good girl. Settle. Yes. Good girl. Do you want this slipper insert? Is that what you want? You want Daddy's slipper insert? Yeah? Okay. Good girl. Anyway, I really like these compositions. I think these are some really great examples. Now, I think it is mostly example based, but I think that in some ways that's actually really great for nature journaling texts, because a lot of it isn't going to be, you know, here's how. It's not technique based, it's open to everyone. This is the new edition, has all of these pages of new sketches. And then there's some about teaching, which is really nice to see as someone who teaches journaling sometimes. Ember, please. Why can't you just settle? I know, it's too exciting. There's so many things happening. Gotta knock things over and be wild and crazy, even though it's nap time, right? Spot? Good girl. Let's settle. Good girl. Yes. Good girl. So talking about teaching with school groups. So this stuff is sort of interesting to me personally. Anyway, so I really like this book. I'm really looking forward to taking a closer look at it and reading some of the more detailed sections. And then this one, I know that Paolo said he owns it and it's not his favorite. I really like the artist. Now, I don't know about the book at all. You know, there are artists who I love, whose books I don't love, and artists whose work I'm not as impressed with, but whose books I do really love. So, past and present. Okay, so this is like history of botanical art. There's some examples by other artists. So line drawings and colored pencil. So that's interesting. Observation. Learn to see what you're looking at. So you should initially focus on the plant itself rather than your own drawing. You will need to carefully examine the plant. Right, so you want to look at it from different angles. You want to understand how it's put together before you just draw what you think you see. Right, so you're going to want to see like, oh, where do these leaves connect and how does each little frond, like each little leaflet section correspond to the central midrib. Next week you'll be here. Yes, next week I will be at my parents' house. Hi, Mom. And then maybe Mom can watch this one when she doesn't want to sleep during a live stream. Hey, buddy. Yeah? Yeah? She's settling down now. Really just like the photos in the book. Do you want anything for your live stream? A well-lit spot to stream from, but that can be the backyard. In fact, might be great to be the backyard. Your backyard is nice and quiet, has all those trees, so the lighting is perfect. Yes, so there are a lot of photos here. I'm not sure that I hate it, but it is different from a lot of art books where this is very, very heavily photo-based. Searching for plants. Oh, so this is examples of the same rhododendron. painted by a number of different artists. So that's interesting. You can see the different styles of, like, all of these are botanically accurate illustrations of the same plant, but you'll see like different artists will approach it differently, and I think that that's something that's like can't be stressed enough. Dinner time, thanks Lee. Thank you. Preserving plants, again, we're back into photos. Positioning. Yeah, I'm not sure that this is the best example of positioning, to be honest. The best angle is always the one from which you see most of your plant's characteristics. Ember! Ember! No, drop it. Sorry. Ember, no. No, drop it. Thank you. Yep, that's not for you. Drop it. Drop it. Ember, you can't eat watercolor. It's not for you. No. Hey. Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. That's quite something to eat, that one. Well, I think that quinacridone gold is non-toxic. Jesus, no. Hey! No, not for you. Not for you. Ow! Ow! No. No. Not for you. Not for dogs. Nope. Nope. So many nopes. Sorry, Ember just knocked over, had a little palette of handmade paints. She knocked it over and got her little face in all of it. Luckily, she did not get her little face in manganese blue, just quinacridone gold. I got all of them. Okay. This is why I don't like having her here when I'm streaming. It says they have spots and holes. Yeah, so I really do like showing plants as they appear. So like you're saying like this, where there's a hole. And I think that that is, you know, it helps make it lifelike if you represent some of your subjects like that. Rather than just like the perfect specimen. I think that, you know, there's a time and place for painting the perfect specimen if you are painting for identification purposes. For an arboretum or something, you want to be as clear as possible and not include other stuff like color variations or weird bumps that come from an insect or whatever. But I think that from the point of view of understanding the plant and its place in nature, often for many plants there will be plenty of examples in the world of, you know, what this rhododendron looks like grown perfectly as a specimen in a botanical garden, arranged perfectly for a page, but it's, you know, what that might not be what you would see ever if you're going out and looking at this plant. So seeing how it interacts with plants around it, I think is really nice. So here there's some talk about like repositioning things, because this can be really awkward. If you have two objects that are just barely touching, it can be a little bit confusing which one's in front of the other, what's the shape, so you can reposition them. Right, okay. So if you have a stem, you want to make sure that, you know, you don't have a stem here and then you follow this one. That's just going to look weird. So you need to make sure that everything connects properly. And sometimes there is a bend in the stem, but you're going to move it so that it doesn't look like it's cut off. Measured drawings. Yeah, that's something that I want to practice a little bit more, is doing something like that exact in terms of measuring my drawings, and using dividers. Foliage, a lot of foreshortening. I like some of the examples. Hello, Spot. Good girl. Settle. 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 Ember, settle. Good girl. Good settle. Yes. Good girl. Good girl. Yes. Good settle. Good settle. Yes. Good girl. Leaves in perspective, flowers in perspective, aerial perspective. Oh, that's really cool. Like where you're talking about getting less detail and blurrier examples in the background. That's always, I find, a really interesting thing to incorporate into atmospheric perspective into botanical work. Down, Ember, down. Down, please. I do have some examples where I've done that quite a bit in recent work. Complex subjects. Ooh, yes, my favorite. Oh, I love that. But again, yes, there's a lot of photo work in this composition. I think it's just a different approach. I'm not sure that it's my favorite, but I appreciate just the variety. Painting. Be free. Feel free to experiment on your sketches. Paint without doubts. Make sure that you know exactly where you will paint, how your hand will. I don't know. I feel like I disagree with that on all points, but that's a topic for a different day. Hold your brushes as if they were pencils. Okay. How to paint. One for applying water only and other for the paint. I generally... Wow. Okay. I need to like read this a little bit more because that seems like a very strange, strict technique. Botanical artists are some of them can be very, very, very interesting about their approaches. Yep, so this is probably a lot more of a like very careful, diligent style of painting than what I work with. Also, it's always interesting to look at other artists' palettes. Down, Ember, down, down. Okay, so these are her pigments. So a couple of comments here because we like commenting. She talks about the pigments that she uses, but then she doesn't actually list them by pigment. She lists them by name. Now these are all Winsor Newton paints, so I can tell you what the pigments are in most cases. She's working sort of with a yellow, red, blue, or cyan, magenta, yellow-ish range, but a lot of each one. I know some artists prefer that because they find it less confusing than having colors spread around the color wheel. Personally, I feel like if you're going to have this many colors, you might as well throw in some greens and purples in there instead of having this many different yellows. You know, you can take some of these yellows away and put in some oranges maybe. Likewise, here you could put in some purples. Also, it feels like these reds are reversed from where I would place them. Amber. No. No, not for dogs. No, none of these things are for dogs. So here we have color mixing. I mean, I'm in favor of experimenting with different pigments. That's definitely true. Color contrast. Tonal contrast, where you have a color that's graduated from light to dark. Yeah, so it seems like she chooses one basic mix for a subject and then works within that tonal range. So there's not a huge amount of variation here between, you know, yellower to bluer sections of the same subject, which gives her work a sort of look where it's all very even. I think that the many, many, many layers also contribute to that. Ember, you're going crazy. Sorry, I am gonna have to end this soon because this is getting crazy with the dog. This is why I wanted her to nap. Lots of talk about details, more pictures, many different kinds of plants. I'm sorry, she's gonna need to go. Do you need to go outside, Ember? Yes, you see yourself in the mirror. Good girl. Bunch of different examples. There's some step-by-step stuff. I know some people work really well with these step-by-step examples. I do not. And then inspiration. Yeah, I'm not sure that I'm really getting where this is from life specifically, but there's definitely some interesting technique things in this book. And now I really, really do need to take my dog out before she pees in my studio. So